Gremlins was written in 1984 by George Gipe. It's 278 pages long. I thought it was a pretty interesting novelization of the movie. It starts off talking about an alien named Mog Turman who created his own super intelligent species called the Mogwai. Four of them were sent to Earth centuries ago. Disaster strikes whenever one reproduces. The vast majority of Mogwai are evil monsters, bent on chaos and destruction. It actually reminds me of the movie Lilo and Stitch, that's pretty close to Stitch's backstory. If you've seen the movie Gremlins, you know the alien stuff is not in the movie. It fits with the movie perfectly. Why can't Gizmo be an alien? That's as good of an explanation as any. So I really like this alien stuff because Gizmo is probably my favorite character of the movie. He's in like 20 to 30% of the book, and it's just super interesting to hear stuff from his perspective, to hear his backstory, to hear his thoughts and frustrations, since he's the only character who knows about the impending disaster. We also hear him talk to the other Mogwai and his attempts to prevent them from becoming gremlins. I really like that stuff. It's really different from the movie and all very interesting sci fi. So that's about 20 to 30% of the book, which is just very different from the movie. The general consensus is that the book must have been based on an early draft of the movie script, which accounts for the fact that there are so many changes from the movie to the book. Some of the changes are minor. Like Billy and Kate, they don't kiss in the book. Kate has a speech about hating Christmas. It's in the first half of the book, but the second half of the movie. So they moved it to a slightly different spot. Mr. Hanson killed in the exact same place in a slightly different way. Dad returns to town slightly earlier, I think. The movie's got an extra scene of Dad trying to sell stuff at a convenience store. The book has an extra scene of the military trying to get into town and stop the gremlins. The book has more scenes at the bank. I think there are 3 extra scenes at the bank. And this includes a deleted scene which was filmed. I think it's on the DVD version. Billy and Kate visit the bank after the gremlins attack. They see the bank boss has been murdered, and their smarmy co-worker has been driven to insanity. So it's a fairly grim scene. I can understand why it was cut from the movie. I'm not sure which is darker, the book or the movie. They both toe the line between children's comedy and adult horror, as these gremlin monsters combine harmless pranks with brutal murders. The general story's the same in both versions. Gizmo's a cute alien who is given to Billy Peltzer as a Christmas present. When Gizmo gets wet, 4 evil aliens are created. That's bad enough, but things get even worse when the aliens eat after midnight. They turn into powerful green monsters that destroy the town. Luckily, bright light is fatal to them. All the gremlins gather in a movie theater when it's close to sunrise. Billy and his friend Kate blow up the movie theater, killing all the gremlins. They actually blow it up by using the furnace, which was a death scene in Nancy Drew Secrets Can Kill. Check out my video walkthrough for that game. The leader of the gremlin survives. Our heroes chase it to a department store where there's a one-on-one battle. Well, more like a 3-on-1 battle, because we've got 3 heroes and 1 villain. Our heroes win, the gremlin threat is stopped until the sequel, and the adorable alien returns to its former owner. I like this book. The writing's good, the changes made to the story are interesting. I especially loved the sci-fi elements. My biggest complaint is that I wish the gremlin rampage was longer and that it occurred sooner. So like the movie, the gremlin stuff doesn't really get started until like 2/3 of the way through. Unlike the movie, this book is not limited by a special effects budget, so it could have done a lot more with the gremlin monsters. They could have shown up earlier and caused a lot more chaos. So for example, like the movie, the book gives us a radio broadcast and it gives a secondhand description of the gremlin rampage. That's unnecessary in a book. We could have seen all of that chaos firsthand. I don't want to read a radio show. I want to read about gremlins destroying stuff. the last thing I want to point out is that the scene where Billy tries to warn the police is different. The police make a bunch of jokes about the rule that Mogwai can't eat after midnight. Does daylight savings time affect this rule? What about time zones? If a Mogwai eats at 4 a.m., does that count as eating after midnight, or is it a really early breakfast? I thought it was funny to see them insult a major premise of the story like that. So, all in all, I would say this is a pretty good book. Check it out if you like the movie. You'll find the differences to be interesting, especially all the alien stuff from Gizmo's point of view. It's still interesting, even if you can't remember the movie too well. I saw the movie 2 months ago, so I kind of forgot most of the events. This book still kept me entertained. The author also did a novelization of Back to the Future, so clearly he was a fan of 1980s science fiction comedy movies. I did read that novelization. That one's only like 10% different from the movie. There are some weird changes, but this book is far more different from the movie than the Back to the Future book is. I give Gremlins a thumbs up.